Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 26, 2020 Abington Finance Committee meeting. We are continuing our meetings with our department heads, going over the budget for the fiscal year 2021. Tonight we will be meeting with three departments. We have the Council on Aging here. We have the Department of Public Works. And the town clerk will also be here and is on her way up the stairs. So we'll be getting started with her in just a moment. Actually, no, we won't. We'll be getting started with the Council on Aging.
Good evening.
Suzanne Jesper.
As always, I try to give you, thanks for having me. I always try to give you our most recent newsletter. I think there's two in there.
There's three, actually.
Oh,
don't try and hide them.
Thank you. Sorry.
This newsletter, for anyone who's new on the board, is done by a group of women, seniors. They get information from like the history, from the Dyer Library. They actually interview a lot of the employees here and ask them to, write about themselves, write about some of the experience. But for the most part, they write such incredible stories in this newsletter. We have one of the best out of the state. I'm biased, but I'm just letting you know. And this goes out to 2,700 people every single month. The Abington Elderly, puts in some information. There's one of our groups. The dog park has put in some information, pickleball. It's a lot of stuff that you can just look up here every single month and go, what are the activities at the senior center? What's happening further? Is there anything new? We had some great trips over the last, in December actually, we took them to the Boston Pops. That was a fun trip for them. But if you have a moment, just take a quick look at our newsletter. And we're adding more classes. We're actually getting a new camera system for showing movies at the senior center, because I'd like to be doing that. Line dancing is twice a week. I'm sorry, back it up. Twice a month on Fridays. The ladies get to judge what Fridays they're coming, but we also added a nighttime line dancing. It's the first Thursday of every month. We have chair yoga that's very popular. In the evening we have Zumba, and we have a yoga class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Zumba starts at 4:30 on Thursdays, and yoga starts, I believe, at 6.
Ooh, and Tai Chi.
And we have Tai Chi. Tai Chi is great. Love Tai Chi.
So just real quick before we dig in,
Yeah.
I know we have got a few newer members on the board, so we'll just go through and introduce ourselves to Suzanne.
Hi, Russ Fuller.
Matt's all, obviously.
Barbara.
Chris Murphy.
Katie Comas.
Greg Belzer. Sean Tyler.
So, thanks, Suzanne.
Suzanne Jesper.
Nice to see you.
Thanks. What else are we doing? Numbers are up as far as rides. Transportation is the number one issue. The actual number one is affordable housing, senior housing that's coming into town. I know that we lost power a couple of weeks ago, and the senior housing didn't have power for, I believe, over 12 hours. For those who don't know, it's a state-run facility, and we talked to our seniors and sent them to our state rep. Why isn't there any generators at summer senior housing? Which, a lot of the factors for last week, it was warm out. If it had been really like zero colder, then we would have opened the senior center. We are always prepared, emergency preparedness. We would open the senior center, we would open the school. There would be a warm place for people to go.
I remember asking this before. Are you able to provide transportation to those locations for people that can't get there?
We do. We have, they would call the police station, and the police station, if they don't have my cell phone, which I can't believe no one does, because everyone has my cell phone, the police chief would get in contact with me, and then we would go around and pick people up, whether it be in our senior van. It all depends on factors. if the weather is
What the
good,
weather's like,
can I
right.
get my van out? There's a lot of those factors, but if somebody needed a ride somewhere, we would make that happen, whether it's our own cars or the police or, the senior van.
So I think for the benefit of especially the newer members, but people watching as well, do you want to go over how you run the van?
Sure, so we have two types of transportation at the senior center. Our van, which goes locally into Abington as far as Stetson Building in Weymouth, and then Brockton Hospital. We don't normally, and that includes Rockland. We don't normally go into East Bridgewater, where it's Compass Medical. It's just too far to get from one to another. We only have one van and one driver right now. We also have, to give us a little leeway, we have Dial-A-Bat. Dial-A-Bat runs out of the same system. So they would call, they would order a ride, and we would judge whether it's going to be Dial-A-Bat or whether it's going to be our van. Our van gets it's 12 seats, and it's usually packed. And then we try to accommodate after that. Can we do 2 shifts? Can somebody take someone in their car? We do a lot to make sure that people get, especially to medical appointments. We only drive our van from 9 to 2. Van has to be back. That's how it is. And it runs, right now, it's running 4 days a week. So on Wednesdays, there are no van at the senior center. That's when Dial-A-Bat comes in. So if they had to go to the grocery store or a doctor's appointment, they can go. But Dial-A-Bat runs from Brockton, Abington, Rockland. It does not go into Weymouth, Quincy, Norwell. It goes south. East Bridgewater, Avon, that type of thing. So if I had a client who wanted Dial-A-Bat, they would call, we would fax over the information to Dial-A-Bat, and it's a door-to-door service. So it's $7 for Dial-A-Bat round trip. For us in town, if they're coming to the senior center, it is no money. If they're going to a doctor's appointment, it's $3 round trip. So we try to make it easy and convenient. It is tough with just one van and one driver, but we seem to be able to bridge that gap.
Thank you for explaining all
You're
that.
welcome.
Do you want to go through
Sure,
the budget?
sure. Is there any questions about what we do at the senior center? We do a lot. Let me go back, before we get into the nitty-gritty. We do a lot of outreach programs, so if you're on Medicaid, Medicare, there's only a certain time where you can change it per year, which I believe it goes to October 15th to December 7th. So in that time frame, when you're on Medicare, you can change it. After that, you are stuck with, you get what you get for a whole entire year. So if you needed to add a prescription drug plan, if you needed to add anything, that's the time. But before that, when you turn 65, you can change it within a year. It's kind of a weird system, but we do a lot of outreach. We do a lot of personal care assistance we recommend. We have a Meals on Wheels program that when I started, I think there was 12 people. We have almost 40 people on our Meals on Wheels program right now. We have about 15 drivers. That's a lot of meals when you're packing them in your car and trying to get somewhere. As far as our phone calls, our transportation, it's probably tripled since I've worked here. It's just a lot. There's a lot of action. At the senior center, we still have a gym that is, a lot of people are using now. I think the weather, for whatever reason, we have a couple of treadmills, we have 2 bicycles, and then we have a Bowflex that no one knows how to use, just saying. And then we do all our classes. We have lunches Tuesdays and Thursdays. Lunches are prepared by the ladies on Tuesdays, so they're homemade, fresh, if you ever want to grab a lunch. And on Thursdays, they're provided by the school. If the school's on vacation or summer vacation, we bridge that gap with donations. So we always have a Thursday lunch. Okay.
Excellent.
Now nitty-gritty. I think I have the same page, but I'm not 100% sure. So,
For the committee, we are on page 82, starting on
so my budget, we try to really keep it tight on my budget. I, knock on wood, haven't been over, ever. So it never really changes. I get some donations here and there. We rent out the senior center just to bridge that gap. If I need money, we're getting a new roof. It was approved by the town. The bids are going out.
Finally.
Finally, very happy about that. There's a couple of things that we need to be fixed, mandatory to fix them. We have a electrical issue that is on our table, and we're getting that fixed as we speak. I'm just trying, it's a lot of moving parts with an electrician, National Grid, trying to figure out and not close the center for activities. And some of my doors need to be redone, and it's just an old building. The building was created in '92. It was bought by the church, and after some years, the town bought it for the senior center. So it was an old building when we walked in. So there's certain things that we needed to fix in the building. So this budget that I'm presenting is the same budget as last year. I didn't really go up on any of my numbers. Yeah, I didn't go up on any of my numbers. I try to keep it the same as every year.
On the one that, Sue, I don't know if you know what's different, on ours, from the voted 2020 to the requested 2021, the salary is about 20,
Yeah, there's a salary. Rick had talked about that.
I was just asking the 160 and the 136, is that, 138, is that the?
So the increase in salaries is bringing Suzanne up to a salary that is comparable with other
Yep.
communities that we've been slowly trying to get up there. And this is going to be the big year that she's finally going to be where she's supposed to be.
okay. Just wanted to make sure that was clear for,
And then the repair budget is up as well.
The repair, it's the same budget as last year. Repair, that is when we had a leak and I had to replace ceiling tiles. Those are the things that were never budgeted before. It was like a $500 budget per year. It's a little bit ridiculous when I have an old building and I need other things done. We still do. We haven't had a lot of rain yet, but we've had leaks within the buildings that we had to, not so much replace carpeting, but we had to repaint some areas that we did without an outside contractor, but we definitely had to replace some of the insulation and definitely all the lower ceiling tiles.
Okay,
So that's what we use.
That's why they increased last year, and then there's another increase this year.
It's the same as last year. The 5,000 was the same as last
Ours-
year.
Let me see what you have.
Is that?
2020
Right up near the-
shows 500
yeah.
in our
This
column.
money specifically for building maintenance.
Yeah, so.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yes, sorry.
Because we had talked about the fact that she needed the doors and.
Right,
certain
I
things
still need the
to be-
doors done, and
It's
some of the
not
windows are,
janitorial, it's actually building facility maintenance.
And the 4,000 you used last year, you gotta use again for the
yeah.
same.
Because it is an old building,
Okay.
there's, things are breaking that are out of my hands, and I can't do it myself.
Why aren't those in the same, more, I guess, for Sue?
I think the first line is equipment, and the
Oh, equipment.
second line is damage and damage repairs. Is that,
Right, so the equipment would be to fix dishwashers and stoves and refrigerators and things like that, and the repairs are for the actual physical building, which she really hasn't had.
Right.
A lot of money to play with to get those things taken care of. And it needs to be taken care of at this point.
yeah. For those newer on the committee, we've definitely talked about that in
Yeah.
previous years when you've been in, how you
And
do a
even
great job
that
of
amount of
keeping
money can
things
go
patched together,
fast.
but
Yeah,
Yeah,
much
there's
of
a-
nothing has been,
Yeah.
since, I mean, since the
There hasn't
town
been a lot
purchased the
done.
building.
Yeah.
yes.
There hasn't
And
been
there's a
any.
couple of little things that I want to add to just make it more accessible. Like we have one ramp to go into the front door, I'd like to kind of make another ramp at the back door that people can get in and out with their wheelchairs or walkers, just
Yep.
little
More
things.
handicap accessible.
Other questions? Anyone else? Suzanne, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much.
Thanks, Suzanne.
I don't know if the salary budget was discussed. Okay.
Yep.
And you probably already heard, and I'm sorry if I was, Suzanne's the lowest paid department head, and we hope on our record she will continue to be the lowest paid department head. And we'd like to keep her there as long as possible. And she did not ask for it
Yep.
this time.
All right. Leanne, were you going to go next? All right. Town
Busy
Clerk Leanne
downstairs?
Adams. How's the early voting going?
Very well.
Good to hear that.
Which page are you starting on?
Hopefully the same you guys have, 20? 20 is 108,
Sure.
yes? Okay.
Town meeting's on the
So-
first page, but
Yeah, town meeting
if
is
you're
page
on
one.
20.
That was,
Page one, 3,000 to 3,000.
yeah, mine's got in the town clerk.
You wanna-
Yeah, I think you're
That's right, we
That's
can go off of however you,
Yeah.
you know, what, we
I don't
can,
have anything.
Okay.
just
So that's-
whatever numbers you have.
Yep, just go with what
Just
you
tell
got.
us what
This
yours,
is elections and not changing,
10,
so.
20, and 30, I'm not.
So 16,
Is
10.
that an 02, that's 11, I think that's the,
Is the date of the one that I have. if that's-
yeah, that's the funding that comes from the state that goes into a different account that I don't really.
Okay.
Sue can explain that one better. But that's
All right.
not one of the ones that we use
So let's go to page 20, town clerk.
from the top.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think the Abington Cam would like this closer to you.
Town clerk karaoke, Leanne.
Thanks for that. Okay, the first line up, the insurance stipend for 1,000, that is for Barbara because she doesn't take the insurance. And the 77,925, that is including an increase if town meeting allows. And the 1,000 is my certificate in clerk world. I went to class, school, all the certificates and stuff. And the 49 is Barbara's, or I should say the assistant town clerk. You're not supposed to give names, right? Under expenses, the bookbinding, that has stayed the same, 750. And the data processing is the same, 5,000. Education and training is the same at the 14. I'm still at 1610, yes?
Yep.
Okay. And the census reminders that we need to send out, that stayed the same, 1948. And office supplies, we changed a little bit because we combined it, because I had two lines that said the same thing, so Sue just combined that. And the travel is the same at 400, dues and fees the same at 250.
Which office supplies, what was the other line that it was combined with, do you know?
I did 5420 and 5599. They both said office supplies, so we just combined them.
Okay.
You get that 5420 and 599.
What was the amount last year on the second?
The 5599 was 223.
Okay. So it looks like my math is right, a savings of $1.
Yay. You're welcome. Okay, so 1620, the Backett election, 1620, 5120?
Election town meeting.
Yes.
And now on page 22.
Yes. Then maintenance and repairs with the new machine, 1125.
So the salary for elections is because it's a heavier election.
It's
There
an,
are
it is,
multiple
it's a heavy year, and
elections.
all this early voting is, yeah, it's wonderful, but
Now that we've been doing it for a little bit, do you find it's a better voter turnout in the end, numbers-wise?
yes, because I think it's a lot easier for the elderly handicapped to come into the office, because we can have a table for them, they can sit down and just take their time, and it's not that rush. Equipment rentals, are we there? 1620, 5244, that stayed the same, 1125. Data processing,
Sorry.
hello.
The early voting's 10 grand? No, I mean, am I doing the number right there?
No, there are more elections this year
Yep.
because it's the
What
presidential
does the early thing have
primary.
to do with it though? That's not
The early voting, which started how many years ago?
2016.
So 4 years ago
Yeah.
started. It requires that we have people that you testify in the
Yeah, yeah.
lobby.
Increases
So we
the
have to pay
staff.
them to-
But it doesn't increase by 10 grand.
No.
All right.
But it's
that's-
how
the
many-
10
how many you
grand
have.
The 10 grand increase is because of
Is
the
more
multiple
like-
elections
Yes.
this year.
Thanks.
We're just giving the workers really big raises. Okay. Data processing, 1620, 5302, 28 is stayed the same, and the postage is the same. For,
Is the postage the same or slightly down at 200 to 150?
yes, it is. Thank you. I'm looking at, no, I'm looking at these two, I'm sorry, yeah. Okay. The printing budget for the 1620, 5342 is printing for the census and for voter confirmations. That is the same. And the office supplies, 500, pretty much the same. And the town meeting and budget expenses, pretty much the same.
Questions on that section? Any other questions for Leanne?
Yes. So when you started the budget process, Leanne, are there things that you're lacking in your department or need or would request if we had all kinds of money, not all kinds of money, but if there was money, is there things that are, that you're in need of or?
No. No, I'd like to say yes and come up with something really good, but I
No, I
can't,
just-
yeah. No, I think.
Because I know through the budget process, usually things get taken out of the budgets to get us to a balanced budget. So I'd just like to ask
We're very
if there's-
fortunate. We have many volunteers with the tax rebate program.
Yeah.
If we did not have that many people coming in and helping us, I would probably need another staff. I would definitely need another staff member. That's how valuable they are, and they really help to make things work.
Excellent. Very good to hear.
Okay?
Anyone else? Questions? Leanne, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right, next up, DPW. We're looking at page 61, Highway Department to start, but I think John might be directing us to which page we're gonna start with. We're going with your order.
How about highway?
Sounds good.
Great.
61.
You want to start with salaries, or do you want to start with regular line items? Does it matter?
Let's go for salaries. That's on the top of our page, so.
Basically, no changes in salary aside from 2% COLAs and contractual obligations for the unions. So everything is the same as last year, other than that.
It's showing a 10%.
Yeah, our version has a 10% increase in salary.
So we budgeted for an extra person last year, and we put it in Parks and Recs, and they put it in Highway.
They
So-
moved it to highway.
Yeah, so that's where you're seeing the difference. You're gonna see the difference in Parks and Rec being lower.
And
Could you just explain that one more time? Sorry.
We added a position.
Yeah,
In last year's budget, it was listed under Parks and Rec.
yeah,
In this year's budget, it's listed under highway.
yeah.
we just moved it.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's a different place.
So if we look, I'm trying to find the Park and Rec budget, hang on. That's not the one.
Was that the same budget line here?
yes.
And now it's getting different?
No, so before these departments were combined into the Department of Public Works, they were separate departments, and so they're in different places within our budget
It
documents.
would be easier if we could, someday we could have one document.
Why are we not in one budget yet? John?
I was-
Together,
I
John.
want
I think that's
one budget.
is
I
that
want
a
one
Sue
piece of
question?
paper.
It's just a ridiculous counting format of numbers. That Park and Rec has 6,300 and DPW has 4,200. So.
And so
I
it
guess
has
we don't wanna-
5,100.
Yeah, and so I
Yep.
guess we don't want to call it Park and Rec anymore. We can just put it all in one budget.
5,200.
Understand that there's no Park and Rec, but then your Park and Rec commission might not like the fact
Right.
that you don't have a Park
Yes.
and Rec budget.
Yeah.
But,
No,
like, in effect,
6 of one, half dozen of the
there's a
other.
recreation committee.
Yeah,
They, after the last charter change
Yep.
a couple of years ago, so the committee and the operation and the buildings and grounds are that under John Stone as DPW director. The recreation committee deals with the recreation programs, but they work with John to ensure that facilities are as, what they need. So it's really one department, as opposed to what it used to be. So whether the body is listed here or
Yep.
here, it's all one workforce.
It all comes down to John Sabasso,
Right.
right?
right.
John's the boss.
John's the bossa.
But, but that's a good point, though. If we could have on one page, one document someday.
At the end of the day, maybe, John, we can talk about it, and by the time we make it to town meeting, it can be all.
Or by next year. That way, if we do move things around, we don't have that problem anymore.
So just to clarify, as we're wrapping that up,
All
the
right.
salaries, if, for the committee, if you look on page 61 at the salaries for highway, it's up by approximately 60,000, and if you look at page 91 for the recreation department, salaries are down by approximately 50,000. So the difference between the 50 and the 60 is the 2% increases for this year.
Correct.
And the position that moves from one spot to another.
That's right. So other than that, there was nothing different.
Just a 2% increase?
Yeah, the 2% increases. Except for vacation buyback, that's now, people can buy 2 weeks back, that's a contractual change. Other than that, everything's the same, pretty
Do
much.
people do it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Do you want to go through the line items now for highway?
Yes,
All right.
please.
Let's see. I don't think we have a change in there either. We'll start with building repair and maintenance. It's the same, $2,000. The highway building is the oldest building in town, but I'm not, yeah, so $2,000 for that line item.
Is it older than the Froyo?
What's that?
Is it older than the
I believe it
Froyo?
is.
Oh, it's gotta be.
I believe it is. It's
How many times, that roof's been patched and repatched and unpatched and repatched, and
Yes,
it's,
I have it on, I was gonna give a couple handouts when I'm done with the budget, if it's okay.
yeah.
We'll take a look at that. Well, I didn't take pictures, but you'll see it on there, what I have. Traffic light, electricity and repair, 15,000. Do you guys have that?
Yep.
Yes.
No
That's what
change?
you requested, yeah.
That's what we requested, yes. That's, we have 5 traffic lights in town that we are in charge of. And they're always getting hit or vandalized or electrical problems that we have to hire an electrician for, things of that nature.
You said 5?
Yeah,
Have you ever looked at just replacing them all?
what's that?
Have you ever just looked at replacing them all?
I mean, it'll be the same, people are still gonna hit them, people are still gonna vandalize them. I would like to replace a couple of them someday. Like, ones like Dairy Queen, they're kind of an eyesore,
Yeah.
but that's big money.
Is it, that's what I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's big money.
I just figure if you do this for 10 years, it's 150 grand.
Well, we're still gonna need that.
Yeah. I
People are
guess.
still gonna hit it, people are
People
still
just
gonna
hit
vandalize.
traffic lights. That's what they're
People
doing.
hit traffic lights, people hit signs.
You'd be
people hit-
surprised.
People hit people.
Yeah.
Outside contracts, same as last year.
It was up a lot last year.
It was up a lot last year, yes, because we, the town gave us more money so we could subcontract our catch basin cleaning and a couple other items.
What about, the schools, where's, contract, is the school in charge of now contracting out for the,
The
The
ground?
grounds?
No, we do that,
you
and that's
guys
out
are
of the
contracting out?
park
So is
and
that-
rec budget.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that's,
We can wait till we get there, just,
yeah, we're gonna see that in there.
okay,
There's a $25,000 increase in that one.
okay.
Next line item is tree trimming, 28,000. I think I'd like to increase that at some point, maybe next year or the year after, and take a more proactive approach instead of a reactive approach. We're still picking off a list of trees we have, and we have to subcontract anything over 25 feet high, we subcontract up, because our bucket truck only goes 25 feet high. So,
Do you still have the one that the fire department used to use?
yes, we do. So I was hoping maybe next year or the year after, we could bump that up a little bit, so we can get rid of the list and just go down the street and take a proactive approach, street by street, street by street.
Recently heard somebody complaining about that,
Trees,
yeah.
do you know where?
We have a lot of people. that complain about trees.
We just took 4 down at the
Say.
Beaverbrook playground the day before yesterday. They were really bad. I didn't like
That might
listen.
have been where it was,
One of them was rotten at the bottom,
okay.
so we took 4 down. But on Sunday, I'd like to bump that line item up so we can get rid of the list and take a proactive approach and get more bang for our buck.
I could just chime in real quick. I know John has gone through quite a list over the last few years. I think it was
One, Jeannie,
112.
112 trees or less,
Yeah,
3 or 4 years, 4 years.
yeah. It was.
Since the
I
accident.
believe it was about 3 years ago, John, we actually started appropriating more money in the tree trimming.
Yes, because it was 10,000.
And I know, how many trees? There was a long list, and John's done a good job of getting through.
There's still about 20 on there.
Yeah, so he's gone through a good part of the trees. The other thing I would say too is that a lot of people call and they complain about trees, and quite frankly, they're not on town property. And some people would just think the town's gonna take their trees down. It doesn't work that way.
Does not work that way.
John has to deal with that as both the dynamics of determining whether or not a tree is a town tree, as well as the public relations piece of telling people that the
Yeah,
town
we
is
try.
taking down their trees. So
Yeah.
I sympathize with John having to deal with that.
We tried.
And this is outside of like storm damage.
This is outside the storm damage. This is people calling ever since the accident. Yeah, ever since then, we've had people calling. It's not as bad as it was 3 years ago, the calls, but we still have a list, so someday I'd like to get rid of that list. 5290, other property-related services, we use that line.
It was the Grove, I'm sorry. It was the
It was the
Grove.
Grove.
Is there any lines?
There's a,
I have a couple on the list in the Grove.
there's
yes.
a
At the
tree
point?
down that cracked the drain, or over by the camp.
Oh, we took that down in-house, yeah, we're gonna, we need
No,
to
there's a
fix.
tree that fell and cracked some type of drainage. They're probably better to call you than to put it on Facebook, I'm guessing.
Right, I don't have a Facebook account, so
I'm just saying.
they never wanna call
He's on
us.
Twitter all day, just not.
Snapchat.
All day.
It is more effective to call the.
That's what I meant. It
Yes.
would probably be more effective if they
Well,
called you.
It would definitely be more effective
Yeah.
to call the
It's down
DPW
by
than
the-
report
Well,
it
they
to
can
where the
roll the
camp
chains
is.
on.
And it's falling as well.
It's already fell, and it cracked a,
Retaining wall?
no, it cracked like some
Drainage
type
pipe
of
or-
drain.
I'll drive the
I think we took care of that.
We did,
I'm pretty sure.
but we didn't fix the wall yet. It broke the retaining wall. We tried to take it down
Okay,
in-house,
maybe it was a retaining.
and it broke the retaining wall. And We still gotta fix the retaining wall, which we will do before the season
And I
starts.
think there was concerns about some other dead trees in there.
Yeah, there's some dead trees in there. That's one of the items, I would like to take a contractor and just go in there and take down every dead tree.
Yeah, just the dead ones. though.
Just the dead ones.
It's nice to be able to sit in the shade
Yeah.
when you're there with your
But
kids in the summer.
We have to
Just
get rid of
take-
the list
Just
first.
take down all the trees in the grove.
And not to chime in too much here, but John and the staff, they actually prioritize trees. They go and they
Yes.
review every complaint as well as those that the staff may notice, and they prioritize them. It's not haphazard, you know, how they go about going down the list.
No. Most dangerous first. You know, they crack on the bottom, we try to get them immediately. So, that's what
Yeah, sorry, is there any liability to some of these trees? That was my only question. I know that all trees are a liability, but
Yeah.
like,
Is the town
Yes, but we've
liable,
gotten
is the
rid of-
town liable for
That's-
damage
that's-
that a fallen tree
yeah.
causes?
All right.
I think is Greg's question.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Point of clarification, that is not Greg's only question.
His only question at this precise moment.
So you need tools to
Oh,
take those.
Thank you for the
What do you want?
You
clarification.
need tools to take those trees down?
No, we need more money in the tree removal line item. Oh, okay. All right, other property, any more trees?
Go for it.
Other property-related services, we use that line item to pay for natural gas to heat the highway building. No change in that. Tools, no change. Office supplies, no change. Fuel and gas, the prices remain pretty steady over the last couple of years, so we haven't changed that in a while. Knock on wood. We get that TCI coming up though, but we
Hopefully
don't
not.
have to worry about that being a municipality, but anyway.
Hopefully not.
Vehicle supplies and maintenance, same. We use that line item to cover our whole fleet of equipment and trucks.
64. And we do hear from the other departments that you guys do a great job with
Well, they do.
repair.
Yeah, Jack and Marcus, they do a great job. Town gravel, no change.
Which is how you have a bucket truck,
Yes.
Mhm.
because you repaired and put into service the bucket truck that used to be the fire
department.
station.
Yes, that's right.
Fire truck.
Street signs and street striping, no change there, $20,000.
Oh, I have a question, I'm sorry.
Green crosswalks,
Yeah,
all right, what do you have?
why are they so slippery?
Are they slippery?
Yes. Anybody else?
I
Car,
have not noticed.
on the car or walking?
On the car.
Oh, I have not
I slip
noticed.
all the time while I'm walking on.
Well, you know what, I have a crosswalk right, so,
Right in front of your house.
right, yeah, right down the street from my house. So when it's wet out and people are going,
And she's doing donuts.
Seriously?
no, honestly, when they're stuck, if you drive by some of them, you'll see the black
I do, yeah.
tire marks in there, and it's because when it's wet, they, for some, whatever reason, my own car has no grip in the green crosswalk.
That's why I kind of want to get away from putting them at stop signs or traffic signals. That's not the only reason, but they wear out pretty fast and they kind of look kind of an eyesore after a while.
Yeah, because your tires turn up.
That's typical where the crosswalks are, though.
That's true, yeah. So that's a double-edged sword there, I don't know. So do you want us to get rid of them?
No, I just was wondering if there was, if there was a reason that it was slippery like that, or,
Because it's paint.
no, I meant, like, I didn't know if it was an intentional thing. You know, like they have the
That was
3D.
No, I didn't mean to be laughing.
I know you were.
No, I don't know.
That made it even more priceless. You know how they have
Leaving
like
the
the
witness.
crosswalks now that are the 3D? Have you seen
Yeah,
those?
I
So
see.
that, so I didn't know if there was a rhyme and a reason to the material of the crosswalk, if, you know,
It's not done on purpose.
okay.
But if it becomes a problem, we'll just get rid of them. you
It's
know?
more of an annoyance than anything, I hear the
She'll
cars.
just post on Facebook about it.
Yeah, I'll put it on Facebook.
Yeah. Solved all my problems, thank you.
I think we were
Use
at
that street signs, we use that line item to replace street signs and crosswalks and yellow lines in the middle of the road. 5535, public works supplies, we use that line item to fund, but basic materials, catch basins, drain manholes and castings and things of that nature. No change there. Expenses, that line item funds safety equipment, license renewals, things of that nature. If we just had the whole DPW get certified, OSHA 10, so we use that line item to fund that. So everyone has the OSHA 10 cards now, all of us. All 12 of us. All right, now we're on to snow. So obviously we're not gonna change that one. I think the same for ever. This past winter so far, 3 plowing events, 7 salting events, and we've spent $249,000.
So we are,
Over 149. We've got 1,865 tons of salt, which is included in that figure.
We have salt left.
Yes, sir. Plenty.
That's good.
Yes.
That means if things hold to the course
now
that
why are you
they're
gonna,
at,
like, I don't even say a word.
Have the snowiest March in history.
Always.
I'll pose it hypothetically. If we have salt left over at the end of the year, does that mean that we would be able to purchase less next year?
Yes.
Okay,
It's in the salt, unless the salt check caves in.
right. So, just making sure.
Could we return it? Good question. I thought about it. I could look into it if you'd like me to.
Sell it to Trookies.
Yeah.
What's the spending at right now? I'm sorry, I was.
So far this winter, we spent approximately $249,000.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
We budgeted $100,000, so
Okay,
we have an overage of $149
okay,
approximately.
thank you.
I'm new, so.
That's okay.
Why do we always budget so low? Because
It's just, I think
hard
it's,
to believe it would ever be any lower.
it's
than
not the
this
only,
year.
Dr. Tyler, would you like to take this?
No, Rick, you're here.
Well,
Let's talk
it's
about
the
the
only-
reason of, why should we underfund snow and ice?
Well, first of all, I'm always here. Just to, and
I'm
second
sorry,
of all,
who are you?
I'm sorry. What's phone up?
Tough crowd tonight.
It is the only line item under Mass General Law that you can overexpend. So, historically, we are not alone, cities and towns.
And if you were to fund it higher, you can't.
That's the,
I was trying to get there.
Yeah.
Mr. Tyler, yeah. Yes, if you, so we overexpend it without any penalty, the state law allows you to do that. And then we usually balance it by the end of the year using free cash or other transfers. If you don't do that, you have to raise it in the following year recap sheet, which basically means before you spend any other money the next subsequent fiscal year, you have to fund any overage. And the reason why, and as Mr. Tyler referred to, is if you fund your snow and ice removal, we'll say at $500,000, and you spend $200,000, you can't ever go below that $500,000 appropriation and still be able to overexpend it legally. So what I would say a vast majority of cities and towns do is they fund their snow and ice budget at a level that they know isn't really appropriate, but we might have years where it may be less than that. You don't want to, the reality is that we underfund it.
Especially with the world warming up now. We're not
You
even
want to
gonna
fund
do
it
something.
We just paid off 2015 last year.
Right, you underfund it
And
because
it-
you can't.
Either last
It
year
does,
or before. It took us several
it
years
used to be
to pay off
50,000.
2000.
yeah.
Sure.
It was,
It was wicked.
when I
Yeah.
first,
It's 100
I
now.
started on this board,
It's
it was
100 now,
50,000,
and we
but-
can never go below 100.
What was it like in the 1800s when you started on the board?
We actually used to shovel.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we
But
don't.
in fairness though, Chris,
You just salt.
Just themes.
we do make
I
accommodations.
understand why it's low, I'm not
You know,
quite sure I understand why.
You know, either during this fiscal year.
because, so if we increase it to 200, then every year it has to be, you can't.
It has to be,
then
it
next
has to be
year-
Oh,
at
yeah,
least.
no,
Then you like
I
say next year.
get that,
Yeah.
but I can't imagine it being lower than this year,
I
ever.
think one Yeah, I
Alright,
think
okay, so that
one
answers
year
that.
since I've been here out of 18,
Yeah.
we got nothing.
I think the answer is they always want to be under,
Yeah.
literally, no matter what.
It's a situation where you're always funding it in arrears, because at that point, you know exactly what it's gonna be, so. As we head towards the end of the
It is-
fiscal year, we make plans to fund the balance, once we know
Yeah.
what it's going to be. We certainly hope it's not snowing in May.
And as we have seen over the last 5 years, it is easily the most unpredictable
Oh, absolutely.
factor in the entire town budget.
Which is why they allow you to deficit
Yes.
spend.
Right.
So,
But we tend to run about $400,000 to $500,000 over, so we actually plan on that to transfer either at the end of the fiscal year or free cash transfer. Nothing's not complicated in municipal government.
Okay, that does it for highway. Would you like to go to sewer or park and rec?
let's go to sewer, I believe that's
Okay.
next on our
Sewer
list.
salaries?
69, I believe that is. Yes.
Again, it's gonna be the same as the highway. No changes other than contractual obligations or 2% COLA. Everything's the same as last year.
What year are you in, with your contracts? Like one,
DPW
three,
contract has 2 years left, Rick?
2 years after this June 30th, there's 2 years left.
Yeah, there's 2 years left.
So you're in the first year of a 3-year?
Yes, yeah. And we are very lucky to have like some of the best guys down there. Yes. Very lucky. And our office staff is the best, I'm sorry.
No, I think it's good to celebrate that.
Yes, thank you.
The, through the chairman to you, John, what's the balance of the sewer and the unit fund?
It's, the last I was told, it's around $1 million.
What are the anticipated capital needs?
I printed out handouts for you guys, and I was hoping to get to it after we did the parking rec.
Yep.
Is that okay? Excellent.
No preference.
So that does it for sewer salaries. Any questions? We good? All right.
All right, continue to.
Salary, regular line items, electricity, same, 46,000. That not only supplies electricity for the office and garages, but also we have 11 pump stations, sewer pump stations, 2 flow meters, that we use that line item to pay for electricity out of. Gas for heat, no change. Building repairs, no change. Vehicle repairs, no change. General maintenance, we use that line item to fund basic parts like valves, pipes, gaskets for the pumps, mechanical sales and things of that nature. Alarm,
Will you explain the alarm for people that are want to know?
yes, definitely. The alarm, not only does it, we use that line item to fund alarm services for the building on Summer Street, along with its garages, but we also have all 11, actually 12 pump stations now. We monitor for high wells, low wells, power failures, and generator runnings. So any problem that any pump station's gonna have goes to our phones. And that's what we use that line item for, to fund that alarm services. So if there's a mechanical failure at one of the pump stations, it goes to the alarm, and then we all get it through our phones. We get a phone call and a redundant text message. That's what that line item is for. And for some reason, it's never really gone up. It's been 30, 24 forever. Education and training, just, we use that line item when the SOAR guys got their OSHA 10 cards, confined space entry training, collection system operator training, etc., things of that nature. Postage, same, 7,000. Telephone, same. We use that line item to fund cell phone service and the modems at the flow meters. And other purchases of services is the same. We use that line item to fund services for our electrician, wet well cleaning, sampling, calibration, generator PMs, things of that nature.
What was the last one?
Generator PMs. preventive maintenance plans. The EPA requires you to have a generator from preventative maintenance plan, so we contract that out to the lowest bidder, and they go out twice a year and service our generators that are backup for the pump stations. Office supplies, same, no change. Gas and oil, no change. Intermunicipal, since the town doesn't own its own wastewater treatment plant, we have to pay to have it treated. So 95% of our sewer goes to Brockton, and 5% goes to Rockland. So that's what that line item funds, treatment of sewage. We are just basically a collection system in this town. That's why we need that line item. And transfer up, same as last year, that's the sewer department's proportionate share of health insurance, workers' comp, things of that nature. And that's that. And revenues, we estimate our revenues for this year to be around 2.6 million, and our budget is 2.48. So that's the sewer department budget in a nutshell.
Say that one more time, so we're taking in more than we're putting in.
We're receiving more than we're putting up.
Yeah.
I got rough estimate
Yeah.
for sewer revenues, 2.6 million. And our budget for FY '21 is 2.48. And here is, I have to say that, I usually give this to you guys every year anyway.
Yep. Sewer rates.
Sewer rates,
Thank you.
2019s haven't come out yet, so these are 18s.
Thank you.
You'll get 2019 next year.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Oh, sorry. Woman? MWRA.
What is it?
Oh,
MWRA?
What's that?
Oh, no, not Woburn. I don't know what Woburns doing.
We're doing something right.
What's that?
They're doing something right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's good.
So that's where we stand. Those are the municipalities that participated in the survey. Not everyone did. And now we have park and rec budget. Everything's basically the same on that as well.
what page are you on, Jim?
91 for Park and Rec.
We increased that 25,000 last year, the groundskeeping line item, to fund the grounds of the high school.
Sorry, which line is that?
5460, groundskeeping.
Page 92.
Okay. Thanks. So it was last year that we increased that. We're keeping it the same this year.
Yes, sir.
Um,
It's worked out pretty good.
Did it, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, with the first year into that,
Yes.
how has that been working out?
Worked out pretty good.
Good,
Yeah. No complaints, it looks good.
excellent.
Everything
Yeah.
looks good.
Yeah,
They
looks great
sneak
every
in here
time I'm
like on
here.
Saturday mornings, like early, and get it done, and not a complaint,
Yeah.
it looks pretty good. The
Nice.
only thing we're gonna have to think about at some point, somehow, some way, is to get more mulch in that. It's gonna take a lot of mulch. I don't know, it's gonna be like a combo town school
Yeah.
effort, or,
Too bad you can't use salt.
what's that?
I don't know.
Salt-based mulch.
Last year, there was a request, pursuit of getting 2 new positions into the recreation function. And what we had come to, after speaking to John, is that rather than have 2, let's put the equivalent of 1 into expense for contract services while we hired 1 other position. And the rationale was that the amount of handwork that has to be done to maintain the school property was so significant that to use an employee was just really not a good use of the town's money. So splitting that up into both, labor, town labor, and contracted services, that was the way we thought, well, let's give this a try. So, John, I'm happy to hear that it's actually working out as John had hoped.
Yeah, the school's happy, so.
Good, excellent.
So everything seems to be going good now. So that's Park and Rec. Any questions on Park and Rec? Before I get to this?
Anyone with questions? Well,
Just explain 6,300 one more time?
6,300.
Yeah, first one. Rec coordinator field removal.
Yes.
Or am I looking at something the wrong thing? It
No,
was
you're looking at the
19 was 40, 20 is 92. Is that what you were just talking about?
That's the
That's
off,
the extra,
Yeah.
that's the extra salary that's in highway now, right?
That's the highway.
That's, yeah, the first line on page 91 is the salary
Yeah.
going from 92 down to 41 because that person was moved to the salaries on the highway department.
Yep, got it, thanks.
Because it's really all one way.
You guys want to look at capital plan too?
Absolutely. It'll come back to you after we leave.
Go ahead.
What's been the situation with the ball fields?
Ball fields, seems to be working out pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep.
And for the newer members, do you want to just kind of go over what the
Yeah, we come up with a
plan
agreement
was for
where,
that, the agreement?
yeah, Little League would pay to mow their fields, part of their fields, and we'd mow the rest of them. So, and they're happy with it.
It's working out.
It's working out.
One of the
And we
key-
take care of the infields.
One of the key issues was is that the Little League was concerned that they were paying fees to the town for services that they didn't feel they were getting. And the reality is that DPW only had so much, regardless of whether they fees or not, it simply wasn't enough to put the DPW resources into caring for these facilities. So what we did last year was sort of as a pilot program is reduce the fees and allowed the Little League to actually contract their own services, not relying on the town. So again, they save money in terms of what their fees would be to the town, and they put that into maintenance that they themselves had control over. And again, I defer to John that it's working out fairly well from what I understand.
Yeah, they're happy. We're happy. And we try to help them out with a lot of other stuff, like this week, the Plymouth Street ball field. We trimmed back a bunch of trees that they requested be cut back because the lights, they were blocking the lights,
Yep.
they were hanging over the backstop. So we try to help them out any way we can. They seem to be happy.
How do we get around the liability of,
I was gonna ask that,
back?
One of the
Yeah,
big
did we
questions
get around
was the liability of not the
A private
town
company.
contracting someone to come onto town
Well,
property
yeah.
to
Right,
do work.
the company that has to provide us with proof of liability and kind of an additional insurance.
Okay,
They had already been using this company anyway for the
Yep.
Plymouth Street field.
okay,
Eagle Brothers,
good.
I think was the name.
Not to
Heard-
get
I've heard of it.
philosophical, but this is a good example of, not
And-
relying on government, paying government for money that you
Yeah.
can
And,
do.
And they asked for the same arrangement this year.
and it is a local business, so.
Yes, and baseball asked for the same arrangement this coming year.
Good.
So,
Yeah, that's working out.
And you said you drag the field too?
oh yeah, with that machine,
Yep.
the machine is awesome. It is awesome. It does a great job. We use it a lot.
Excellent.
This is our 5-year capital plan. It's arranged, first page is gonna be highway, second page is MS4
So
stormwater.
we, sorry.
Go ahead.
The bridge,
Yes,
that's not, the T is not responsible for that?
this is the bridge on
This is,
Nick Glenn's office.
is
Oh,
the,
no, yeah,
the one
okay.
by
All right.
the,
Okay.
right
Wait a
right by,
Right as you turn from
Right as you
Washington.
turn from
where the
Washington onto
grove goes
Central.
down under
Yes.
and then between.
Yes,
It
I
goes
think
down to
it's-
Beaver Brook and,
It's getting to the point where we need to start investing in our infrastructure. Chapter 90 is only gonna take us so far.
yeah.
Every year the state gives us money to repair our roads, about $390,000. But we need to use that on the roads. We need to come up with money to do other items like this.
Yeah, that has been patched, but I walked that road and it's,
Here's the bottom of the bridge.
oh.
I didn't want,
And
I didn't print out the whole, I
and-
didn't print out 12 copies of the report, but you guys can look at it if you want. That's the bottom of the Central Street Bridge.
Where is this?
It's,
to the church.
By the police station?
By the police station.
when you turn off of
Where the butterfly
Washington.
garden is?
Yeah.
With the butterfly and the new
temple,
church,
the
yeah.
temple.
Yeah, if you go
Where are we, like,
towards,
is it close to here?
Central Street.
if you go towards, you know where the police station is?
Yeah.
If you go towards the police station
Yeah.
from the Frollo, if you're going from the Frollo towards the police station, you're
Yeah.
taking a left there. It's
Right there.
right when you turn onto that street, there are orange cones.
This is
on the
just a
side
crazy
to make
question,
sure
but
people
just out of absolute curiosity. Are kids getting under there, like, because they're going like with boats? Or are they standing in the water and doing the?
That's the Mass DOT that inspects those.
No, she's referring
I'm
to
talking
the
about the
graffiti.
graffiti.
Oh, yeah,
Like, are they-
you can walk under there.
Oh, okay. Without being in the water?
Well, you'll be in the water.
Oh, so
Not that
they,
deep.
okay. They don't mind getting their feet wet to be able to
Yeah.
tag the underneath of the
But
bridge.
Mass DOT deemed the bridge in poor shape, in need of upgrade ASAP, quote unquote. They inspect it every 2 years, and that's their latest report.
Okay.
So we need to start investing in our infrastructure. Chapter 90 cannot be used for everything. And we'll hopefully get a new pickup truck to replace a pickup that we got in 1994.
It's recent.
And we need a new waste oil furnace. All the oil we take out from oil changes, Jack and Marcus, we reuse it as heat. And we need a new burner.
You can do that?
Yes, that's what we do.
So when you do an oil change in your car, you can reuse that oil as,
To heat the building.
heating fuel?
Yeah.
Do you have to process it through some cleaning process?
Just need a
or-
special type of burner.
It literally burns dirty oil.
Yes. But do you guys want to go through this whole thing, or do you want to just keep it for reference? I mean, it's up to you guys. Then we can say,
I mean, we go out to like 2030 here. I'm
Yeah,
good
I
to
don't
look
think,
at
I think,
Yep.
the following, 2021.
so this year, we're looking for
Next couple of years.
money for the bridge,
we need money for the
for the
bridge.
pickup truck,
Pickup
and
truck.
for the burner for the
Waste oil
furnace,
burners, yes.
And-
That's just highway.
and the engineering study.
If we could do the engineering study, yes. Next year, I'd like to get a new building study. Well, we're gonna need it someday, because the roof is leaking, it's the oldest building in town. And, you know, I don't wanna do that to the taxpayers now, obviously, but someday they're gonna have to address it, because
Yep.
it's getting bad. But anyway,
So someone deemed this a significant hazard.
it's right there on the front page.
Yeah,
Yeah, the state.
but we still have to do a study?
No. The study
Oh,
is,
for the dam.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just saying, like, if somebody said
Oh.
back, we,
Different issue.
different dam, completely not the same thing.
Not the same thing.
Thought it was-
Correct.
No, it's okay. When you move to Abington, I'll show you the streets.
so if you turn to page 2, this is MS4.
But the question still remains, if someone's already done a
yeah,
study.
if the-
We don't have to do a study,
so, no, I think,
but
and,
conditions
and
may
John, you
change.
can correct me if I'm wrong, on the engineering study Hunts Dam Pond, Hunts
Hunt
Pond
Pond
Dam. I think the inspection of it deemed it a safety hazard.
Exactly.
The engineering study would be determining what needs to be done
Exactly.
to make it not a hazard.
The state deemed it a hazard, just like the state deemed the bridge a hazard.
So
you
inspection
still gotta-
versus engineering study.
So, no, you gotta, we need specs.
Right.
This way we'll follow needs to-
Because what do you, just ballpark, what would you think to fix it would be?
300,000
So you gotta go to bid for it, you gotta,
All that.
yeah, so.
prevailing wage.
Lengthy
blah, blah.
process.
Yeah,
And that was the 300,000 you just said was for not the Central Street Bridge?
no, that's,
Yeah, that was for Hunts Pond.
yes.
So basically, that's just that chunk, 800 grand.
What we've done in the past is use chapter 99.
Yep.
But we have,
You don't have enough.
no, we have, I'd say, what, 25% of our roads are graded under 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. We need
And,
more chapter 99. We need more road work. We need to invest in our infrastructure.
Route 18.
Route 18, that's state.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So explanation of, for anyone at home who's thinking, hey, I should call the DPW about
Yeah.
Route 18 from 139 up to the
Whole way.
Weymouth border.
It's the state.
That's the state.
Yeah.
The state project is working
State
on that.
project.
The state project determines if and when any pavement is done.
That's correct. I'm
And
sure in the end it'll be worth
you
it.
don't have a say,
We don't have a say, no.
and you don't do the work.
No, we don't do the work.
So,
But this year, we're looking to do a portion of Lincoln
What was
Street,
that?
a portion of Hancock Street,
yeah.
and a couple others. But we can't keep up with the state needs to give a small check.
Do you have the
Every time.
same, with the streets, you have the same kind of setup that you do with the trees, right? Where you have a list of,
We have a list,
you
yeah.
know, what are the,
We rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. And 25% of them are 5 or under.
it's a lot of streets.
It's a lot of
Sure,
streets.
could we get creative with something like that, when anybody builds a house or builds a condos like they're doing on 139, so they just finished on, couldn't we literally put in there, if you're gonna do that on the town land that you're buying it from, or whatever it is, you pay the town 25 grand?
Or stop building.
Or-
Well, it's
or
not-
something, whatever. I'm just trying to figure out like a way to get more money.
Well, for instance, if a developer puts in a subdivision,
Yeah,
the roadway that goes in there is done by the developer.
right, I'm talking about just,
Okay, I'm just saying, so.
I think Greg is looking at essentially a fee.
yeah.
Access.
And we use it for roads?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, but you want to put more people in here, then,
Overpopulate the
I
town.
guess what's the scenario that I think you raised was when a developer does a project. So you're suggesting,
yes.
or hypothetically, that if a developer does a project off Plymouth Street, it's a side road off Plymouth Street, like,
Yeah.
like Veterans Place, that the developer would also provide the town funds for the maintenance of Plymouth Street?
Sure.
I think it's a great idea.
Well, they do it in other places, I just don't know, I don't know how they do it in everybody, I know they,
What places might that be?
I can give you a couple names, but, I mean, it's more of just a fee. Like, so for instance, when you buy a house in Nantucket, it's a good point, but it's a different point. They literally take an acre or two and put it in their conservation land. So at some particular point, you won't have a piece of land you can buy in Nantucket. And they literally take the money that you just purchased that land with and do that. Obviously, they're trying to control what goes in there. I'm just trying to figure out a way to maybe fix some streets.
Definitely.
Or controlled building in town, so we don't become.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think,
She said.
I think Katie's question is more to the planning board.
Is it? Yeah,
The
sure.
planning board, the zoning board.
Yeah.
And I don't know where instituting some sort of fee like that would fall.
I don't think that currently that is not something that you can legally do in Massachusetts. You know, fees
I mean,
are,
legal.
fees are,
I'm sorry about that, you know what I mean? Like, there's no other way.
can we turn the camera off, please? I mean, a fee is supposed to be used for a specific service delivered.
Yeah,
And
I would say.
what you're suggesting is not a specific service that's delivered.
So
It's not don't get me wrong, it's similar to a gas tax
Right.
for the, statewide for the purposes of maintaining roadways.
So I would say the argument that could be used in Greg's argument is that the addition of either a large development bringing more people and houses into town,
More
or some
travel on
sort
the-
of commercial or industrial development would bring more traffic to the streets around it.
Like New England,
And
Front
the
Street.
paving of the roads around it would be the use of the fee
And I
placed
would-
onto that, and I don't know in any way the legality of that or how it would be implemented.
I think if you were dealing with a developer on a subdivision plan, that developer may be willing to do some additional services beyond the subdivision plan,
Yep.
whether it's maintaining a certain piece, but that would be, a one-time.
Or it might be something that you have a one-time fee, like through the permitting, to the building department type of, as part of the permitting process.
Yeah, once again, a fee has to be specifically tied to a service delivered by the town.
Well, we're allowing you to traffic process.
All I'm saying is let them pay the road.
So.
You can literally put it on.
You know, any ways to raise revenue within the limitations of
Sound like
the
it.
laws is, I'm all in favor of.
Sorry for the long question.
No, it's an excellent question.
So,
This is
on a
the only question.
different, or on a related note, that wouldn't change the Prop 2.5 formula. That would just be a different source for the town's total cap of money, hypothetically.
If we,
If that sort of a fee were implemented.
No, that
or
would,
would that-
would have nothing to do with
Okay.
the tax levy.
Okay. Just checking.
No,
So, MS4.
MS4,
Quick explanation for the newer people of what MS4 stands for, what it is.
it's a new stormwater permit that took effect last year. It's a 10-year permit, and we have to meet certain benchmarks. Every town has to meet certain benchmarks to comply with the permit. And these are the items that we're gonna need to fund for the next 5 years.
this is federal.
Yeah, federal and state mandates. Federal and state unfunded mandates is what these are. So we have to fund these.
Are there any funded federal and state mandates?
Probably not.
Just checking.
So there's certain benchmarks we have to meet throughout the lifespan of the permit. And this is the first 5 years, or the years 2 through 7.
And the focus is collection of stormwater, treatment of stormwater so that it doesn't cause pollution. That's the essence of the job.
Yes, that's correct.
It's really, you want to wrap it up in one sentence.
We don't, yes, the federal government doesn't want us to pollute their waters. Any body of water is considered theirs.
Much like all money is considered theirs.
So that's a breakdown of that. That came right, these came straight from our engineer, so.
Now, our ability to fund that, I know we've had some conversations with our engineering firm as to whether or not, like the first year investment of over $200,000, whether or not we can scale that back a little bit, but that's a conversation that will be had leading up to town meeting. This would probably be, a warrant article, just as not a budget item.
Not to put in the capital plan. Any questions on that? Then we can move to park and grounds. We could use a new paint machine and a new loader. I mean, what are we gonna get? God bless you.
Excuse me, thank you.
It's my job to define what we need, and these are things we need. I don't know if the town might not have money. These are things we need. Beaver camp needs an extension, we're working on that right now.
Now, how do you do that? Like, how far out, that's not a big space, is it really, to extend it, or do you extend out towards like, wide?
back,
Or, okay.
towards the ponds.
Okay.
Kelly said the enrollment is up. Kelly Johnson, she's the one
Yeah.
who runs the camps and the recreation as a whole. The enrollment is up. I don't know, I think she said like 50% from 4 years ago. So. And then the next page is, we need a new sewer. We need a new force main. It's the pipe that carries sewer from our main pump station on Summer to in front of Walmart, where gravity takes it to Brockton. It's a 2-mile long pipe, 16 inches in diameter, and we need to replace that, because it's broken twice now in the past 5 years. It's 30 years old, made of ductile iron. Other towns are having similar problems with their ductile iron force mains.
Yeah, where did I just see it?
Whitman, Plymouth, I'm sure you saw it in Plymouth a couple of years back.
It was just recently, though, there was some kind of issue with, oh, maybe it was water.
Sorry.
No, it was sewer.
Yeah.
Where was, something on the news recently with an issue with sewer, so.
Really, I didn't see that.
Ooh, in apartments, oh, it was in Boston. And there was an issue with it, but
About a month ago,
it was old, it was, what they were
Oh, really?
saying was
The lifespan of this piping was, I believe, was supposed supposed to be about 50 years, John?
Yeah, it was supposed to be 50 years, and it's at 30 now, and it's corroded from the outside once and corroded from the inside once.
And this is the history of this material throughout the state of our.
It is.
This isn't particularly Abington.
No.
The lifespan is not what it was designed.
Whitman's having the same problem.
I use this every time, but no warranty, right?
Warranty.
No warranty.
Yeah. We don't seem to get warranties.
I don't think they give,
10 years.
you probably get a warranty for like 10 years, right? But probably not for,
That's the best you
What was
can.
they say, 30? 50, the last 30.
oh.
That number's a really rough estimate. Our engineers are working on a tighter number.
This would be state of the art, this wouldn't be just a,
Yeah, it was probably made of plastic or HDP, high density polyethylene, something like that, something that doesn't corrode from the inside or the out. Back in 30 years ago, they didn't have that technology.
What is our oldest section of sewer?
Probably the Green Street area. This would be second, phase two. Phase one was all the Green Street area and the Muscle Fields. The sewer was done in 4 phases. The Green Street area and the Muscle Fields were done phase one. Then phase two was the main pump station along the Force Main and Walnut Street, Extra Circle, and the streets around that area was phase two. And then there were 2 more phases after that. But this is 30 years old now, this pump, so, I mean, this pipe, so. I don't know, we'll have to figure out a way to pay for that too.
I would imagine that would have to be some sort of debt. That's not gonna be, we're not gonna have $10 million in the capital plan.
No.
No, I just put it on there so you guys would know what's going on, that's
Yeah.
basically
Yep.
it.
Right, that's,
Like, I don't know if every one of these items is a capital item or a warrant article or an exclusion, or what. I just wanted you guys to be aware of what's
Nope,
going on.
we definitely
As far as
appreciate,
sewer
we definitely
infrastructure,
appreciate having all of it.
that's a debt issue that would be paid for from the sewer enterprise funds.
Okay.
Yes. One of the things John noted earlier, I believe it was Mr. Tyler that asked the question as to how much was in the sewer.
I believe it's $1 million.
Enterprise fund, so keep in mind, those funds, they're not surplus to an extent that those are gonna be used for future capital and
Yep.
for some buffer in terms of operating capital. So your money will be spent.
Questions for John? Greg?
Thanks, John.
No, thank you.
I just put one here.
Absolutely.
I know John talked about his workforce earlier, but there's not a lot of people doing this job. So, what these gentlemen do in the most terrible conditions.
Just the idea of what was the training went to be in close places, that just.
Confined spaces.
Yeah, okay, just even that title gives me that's.
The second break
That's
we
it
had,
for me.
the second break we had on that Force Main happened about a month and a half ago. And we were out there for 40 hours straight.
how much does it cost? I know you can't
The repairs.
say, how much does it cost if you don't fix it? That's.
I'll give you an example. That last break
Yeah,
cost us $200,000.
okay.
Because we had to pump all the storage that couldn't go through that pipe.
Oh, it doesn't go through the pipe, it's kind of leaching
That's
out
right.
your yard.
That's right, either that or everyone's house was gonna back up.
Yeah.
So it cost us about
That's what it
100,
was. When was that?
a month and a half
That's what
ago.
it was.
It was either
Because
that,
people didn't have, who was it? Where was that?
Summer Street.
Okay.
And you said that was from summer to where?
It goes down Summer, takes a left on 18, takes a right on Vernon, takes a left on 123, discharges in front of Walmart, Gravity takes it to Brockton.
Okay.
2 miles long. That particular spot was 14 feet deep. We hit groundwater at 6 feet. It was the worst. So to answer your question, it'll be very expensive if we don't do something within the upcoming years. Because that alone was 200,000. And not one house backed up.
Which is good work.
This probably, this particular one's probably need a lot of people bad. What did we just went to sewer, septic?
We were septic when
We were septic and
We changed
that's
it.
why we went
People
to
didn't want it.
Green Street, the Green Street area, it's all rock, wooden park, everyone's systems were failing, that's why we went to sewer.
Because that would get rid of a huge expense, I mean, the expense would be on the homeowner.
Yes. and there's a lot of expense on the whole
No,
meter.
Yeah, I mean-
trust me, I know.
As I can say, when I moved here, town with sewer was one of my prerequisites. So,
Yeah, I mean, we get lots of ask every
having dealt
homeowner
with
for a
septic.
$40,000 system and now, you know,
Yeah, no, I
We
get it.
had to sell a house too, because most towns now have
yeah,
town storage,
yeah,
and so people just go to
And-
the next town.
yeah.
The state regulations around Title V
Oh,
are
yeah.
very extensive, very expensive,
40.
and
For a regular
a
house,
big,
40,000.
big, large moving target.
I merely raised that for the purpose of saying that people have no idea. I mean, the DPW is the backbone of what keeps things going. The only people that.
All 12 of us, that's when I have office staff.
Public tends to see public safety people, but the DPW people, they are the ones that are behind the scenes that get things done to make everything else possible. And John is effectively the division head of, we've got 3 divisions, and John's basically has to deal with all of them. And if the gentlemen didn't enjoy working for John as much as they do, this could be very difficult considering the limited resources. So John won't agree with that because he's too modest, but.
Yeah, no, they're just great guys. And the office staff is awesome. That it?
John, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your
Thank you very
time.
much, John.
Have a good day.
Two.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jean.
And Jeannie really runs it.
Yeah.
That's right.
I know the box.
Have we been putting this stuff off? Have we been putting this stuff off?
Which,
What stuff specifically?
like the Central Street Bridge.
All this stuff.
So he's
Yes,
looking
yes
at the
and no.
things that are on the,
For instance, the Hunts Pond, and this is one of those things that we've known was coming, and it was just a matter of waiting until there was some reasonable pressure from the state. It's very easy for the state to call things a hazard when they're not paying for it.
Mhm.
So one might suggest maybe a little premature in calling things a hazard. So
The Central Street, though, there's been issues over there
Yeah,
for
it's-
as long as I've been here, on this board, with there were backup issues with water too.
It's not
and-
dangerous as far as what you would call a hazard.
Right,
It's not a hazard in terms of a potential safety issue.
because some of these numbers get to be kind
They
of
do.
goofy, so, I
Yes.
mean,
Is it
you sit down and people are
Billion
asking
here,
for
billion there.
trucks and stuff like that,
Pretty
and
soon
then
it's big money.
wow.
you can't, I mean, I don't know.
I was listening to the discussions on the way here about the
10 million.
different federal government officials arguing over how many billion should be allocated
What
for
was that?
for coronavirus
Yeah, I was listening to
prevention.
the same thing.
And saying that we're way lowballing at 2.5 billion,
2.8,
2.8.
2.8.
So it's like, we'll take the 2.8.
Schumer wants 8 billion. Schumer,
So,
8 billion.
moving on, away from the coronavirus to the rest of our agenda, does anyone have any liaison reports? There were no communications in our mailbox this time. We do have meeting minutes. We have the February 12th meeting minutes, which we have not voted on.
I know for sure I can't vote, so.
Are there any, we're, as usual, very expertly prepared by our recording secretary, Deb Libby.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion or motions on the February 12th? There's a motion to approve the February 12th meeting minutes. And motion and a second. All those in favor of approving? Those opposed, abstaining? Minutes are approved.
I approve.
We have the, you weren't there.
Oh, that's right, I wasn't even there. So it's abstain.
He meant the other A word, abstain.
Abstain.
We have meeting minutes from February 5th. Greg, Chris, myself, Sean, we're here for that one.
Motion to accept?
Motion to approve
Second.
and a second.
Go.
Any discussion? Without any, all those in favor of approving the minutes? Those opposed?
Oh, no, no, please.
Abstaining?
See, I messed up everybody.
And the January 29th, I believe we have also not voted on yet. Is that correct? Do you know? Okay, so Barbara, once again, was not here as she was ill for 4 months,
What felt like 4
approximately.
months, yeah.
But Russ and Chris and Greg and myself were all here. Anyone with any discussion on the January 29th meeting minutes or motions?
Quick question, what was
Yes.
the one where we were asked about the alarm?
That was the beginning of,
Was that this one, January 29th?
no, that was.
No, I think that was
The
maybe
second
January
week in
20
January.
maybe January
Third week in
22nd.
Can we go
Yeah,
back to that
reserve-
one? or is it
reserve
just
fund.
a moot point at this point?
We did the reserve funds on January 22nd.
It was just a question.
So January,
I don't know if I can go
January
back on
20,
something.
January 22nd was when we approved the reserve funds.
Yeah.
So what would you like to go back on?
Changing our votes.
Changing
I
your,
would, I
changing your
truly,
vote?
I've never done it, but yeah, I'd love to actually just take my vote back on that. But supposedly it doesn't matter.
I don't know if you, on the reserve fund transfer?
Yes, yeah. If it's something that we've
The one that you
known.
already signed and authorized?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you can't do it once it's been signed.
I just, again, it's tough to know, I said it to Sean, it's tough to understand, like a specific thing when somebody's sitting in front of you and you haven't heard it before.
You're
And,
blindsided.
and it sounds good, right, because you need things, like a security system. But if it's something we could have worked into a budget at some particular point, somebody should have done that.
Yes.
And the fact that we didn't is weird to me. Again, I voted on it, be thinking, I don't know, the security system doesn't work, this sounds good. But those are things that should be put in this.
Agreed.
So that was, if I can't take it back, then it is what it is.
So the argument that was placed before us at the time was that the system had gone from a not very reliable but usable state to an unusable state.
Yes.
And that people were not being able to get in and out of the building.
Security system
On a
discussion.
daily,
Security
affecting
system discussion.
And Matt,
Yes.
reserves are unplanned.
the daily
expenses.
work.
Yes.
So,
It was,
Yeah.
it was essentially an unplanned expense. The timing of it was unplanned.
So I think Greg's question is, was that something where it had been a while that it was sort of working its way toward the unusable point? Was that something that we could have
Well,
worked into either a budget or a capital plan
Well, to the
ahead of having to use a reserve
It
fund
was really this
transfer
past
for
year
it?
where it became virtually inoperable. I mean, it was aging, but it wasn't inoperable. People literally couldn't get in the building, and the key fobs weren't working, and there was nothing that, from a software standpoint, it was out of our hands if they weren't servicing it anymore. So it's one of those situations that, while I would say maybe it was declining, but it really wasn't noticeable until it basically failed, is what happened, so.
Doctor?
Just keeping things simple, is that, one, it's within the rights to reconsider any motion that's taken.
Yes.
But I just think my suggestion, just friendly suggestion to the chair would have been just to like take a sense of the group, as a sense of the meeting, would folks, motion or choose a different voting strategy? And the answer is no, except for one, and that's a moot point. We can move forward. Because right now, we make a little bit of, it's recollection versus notes. And
Yep.
the question that was posed, if you recall, is this new? No, it's not new. Okay. That was the basis of my opinion. So, anyway, that's how I
Yep.
would have handled it. I don't think you would have had enough votes to, one, reconsider it regardless.
Yep.
And then two,
Yeah, my only point is to have it in the plan so we can look over it, right? Because again, this guy, we got John who just comes in here and, great guy, he needs a bunch of stuff, chief needs a truck. There's all these things.
Yep.
And if he could have come in here and said, hey, I need a truck right now, you gotta do it.
Well, it doesn't.
I know it doesn't go that way, but I'm just saying, like, if he could, I'm sure he would try to do that. And, I don't know, for me, it's just much easier if it's in here, because then if somebody says we need something right now, and it is something that's been sort of for a while, sort of brewing, again, I'm not involved in the town so much where I know every single thing that's
So
happening.
I think another example where we used a reserve fund transfer would be the HVAC system at the library,
Yep.
which we used a reserve fund transfer for 2 or 3 years ago, I think. It was a system that was running on a Windows 95 computer, so it was certainly something that was past its intended lifespan. But the system was still running and working, and so it
And
did
there were other
not,
things
it
that were more.
didn't make the priority list
Yeah.
to end up either on a capital plan or in the library budget.
It was discussed, but
And
it just.
then it reached a point where it stopped working, and it was impossible to service and get it back working.
Yeah.
And so we needed a reserve fund transfer to replace it at that point.
If I could,
Doctor.
Just as a very simple point of order, I just fear we're gonna devolve into recollections,
Yes.
because I think that it's not a fair, I'm inclined to go until 11 o'clock with this particular point. And then too.
Yep.
So it just, I just,
So,
he's new to the town, he came back in.
May I make one?
I think the point that's valid is the material amount of information. Because if we are, one, volunteer group, two, there is a sparse amount of information, and we make the best decisions based on knowable facts,
yes.
right? And it's really kind of leveraging all of our collective experience to say, does this actually make sense? Because, well, candidly, we all pay taxes, right? So we're all interested in making sure the town does well. And it's best to be able to make the smartest decisions with all available information. And traditionally, there are smart strategies afoot, and just being aware of what those strategies are might help make these decisions easier.
I couldn't agree more with everything you said. Because what's my option? No, kidding. But the one thing I'll point out is when it comes to building systems as an example, we don't have a lot of expertise. We don't have a facilities director. We don't have, none of our departments have facilities directors. We don't have the expertise to necessarily understand and know everything that could possibly happen to us here. It's really that, just that simple. It's a lack of expertise that, quite frankly, we're not willing to pay for. So in that, so at times, we do have to react to things that we just don't have the qualified staff necessarily to help us plan for. That's the reality of it. I wish it weren't that way.
I think it's a good point to note for anyone who's looking to come into the town manager position, as we will miss you, that if they want to have these things for the go before the finance committee going forward, it's in their best interest not to make us feel blindsided, like in this point, if she or he wants to move into such position and have a good working relationship with the finance committee.
And I think that would be a good thing for our representative on the town manager search committee to bring to the interview process, which is ramping up.
Absolutely, that is one of our central points of discussion with candidates.
Excellent.
So, thank you.
So any other questions on the meeting minutes of January 29th?
All good.
Any motions on the meeting minutes of January 29th?
Motion to approve
You got
the
Motion
minutes.
to approve. Is there a second?
record?
There's a second. All those in favor of approval? All those opposed, abstaining? They are approved. Our next meeting is next Wednesday, March 4th. It is already going to be March, which is crazy. We will be meeting with, and I had just called this up, we will be meeting with the assessor's office, the planning board, and the water department next week. So,
Have you had a general question on the budgets. The salaries are all in the various departments. Is the amount that those salaries generate in pension costs and health costs somehow in those budgets, or is that just sort of in a separate pile?
That's in a separate-
You'll see those expenses, and we have a health insurance line item, and we have a pension line item, two separate line items.
But this gentleman said something about a transfer back.
The sewer department is an enterprise fund, so those, you'll see it with the goal too.
And
The
wa- and water.
Enterprise funds pay their own totality of their costs and expenses, so those are, so what it costs for health insurance is transferred back to the general fund from the enterprise fund.
Okay, but only for the.
So,
Only
so
for
for the departments where they are taking in fees that cover the costs
service.
of the service. So the water, the sewer, golf, they pay back to the general fund of the town for the amount that they are taking up out of funds like health insurance and
Health
pensions.
You have some administrative costs that
Yep.
are also charged to,
All right,
So-
thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Motions?
Adjourn.
Second?
Motion to adjourn in a second. Any discussion on it? Without there being any, all those in favor of adjourning? Opposed? Abstaining? We are adjourned.